A thriller set in the Pacific Northwest where the logging job might not be the most dangerous thing. Let's talk about Clear Cut. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. I'm here to talk to you about Clear Cut, which is coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on July 19th, 2024. It is a new thriller set in the Pacific Northwest about someone who takes a logging job, but the logging job itself might not be the most dangerous thing he encounters. So is this movie worth your time? Is this movie worth your time? Well, my hot take is I think you should pass on it. Look, I thought it had a really great setting and a really good cast, but it couldn't really overcome a confusing story and some pretty poor CG. So overall, I think you should pass on it, but all that being said, I'm gonna tell you a little about the film, a few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are some surprises along the way. I would turn it off when I get there. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. Let's try to get to those spoilers. So in Clear Cut, you have Jack, who takes a dangerous job logging in the Pacific Northwest. And while he's up there, he encounters some dangers in the forest that are far more dangerous than the job he takes on. Does he survive? Is he able to make it out? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I like the setting. It is set in the Pacific Northwest. It is beautiful. It has really gorgeous outdoor shots. It has a really nice kind of use of color. The trees, the greens just pop in this movie. It looks really, really beautiful, especially at the start when you see some really big kind of like forest scenes. And the second thing I love the cast. You have a great cast. I mean, you've got Lochlyn Munro. I love Lochlyn Munro. He's a fantastic actor, and he always does fun characters, and this is no exception. You got Jesse Metcalfe, you've got Stephen Dorff, and it's fun to see Alec Baldwin for a little bit in this movie. And also, some of these characters, some of these actors play like very different characters than you're used to. Lochlyn Munro is a different character. Jesse Metcalfe plays a very different character. So I did like the cast. I thought they all did a really good job, and it's fun to kind of see them in these roles. So things I didn't like about this movie. The first, it's a confusing story. Like a lot of thrillers, you don't really get the full picture until the very end. But before that, because you don't have the full picture, some of the things that happen are a little confusing, are a little bit kind of like difficult to understand, and maybe like make the main character have it come out in a different light than he does at the end of the film. The second thing I didn't love as much, and this is one of my pet peeves, there's some pretty bad CG. There is some bad CG throughout. Mostly it's fire and explosions that don't look very good, but there's also a scene towards the end that turns like an exciting scene into almost like a laughable one because of the CG. And the last thing I didn't love as much is kind of an unfulfilling ending to this movie. I'm not going to go into it here, but just know that like there were some choices that were made at the end that I was a little bit surprised at, and then didn't really kind of like, I don't know, make sense given what was happening before. So I'm not going to go into here. I'll go into the ending discussion, but just know that Clear Cut comes to theaters on July 19th, 2024. Like I said, I think you should probably pass on it, but you know, if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And I'm going to go into the ending right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So in Clear Cut, you've got Jack who goes to the Pacific Northwest. He takes a logging job and he's under the tutelage of Sam, played by Alec Baldwin. And so they're out there, they are, you know, doing the work. Jack is a newbie, but Sam is taking him under his wing. And so they're felling trees, they're cutting off limbs, all that stuff. Eventually, though, Jack wanders off. He has to go to the bathroom, and as he's wandering off, he wanders into this like meth camp. There's like it's an RV. Someone's cooking meth. I think it's meth. It's not really specified, but it feels like meth. And that person is played by Lochlyn Munro. Lochlyn Munro as a meth chef. Chef's kiss. It was perfect. I love Lochlyn Munro in this role. But Jack goes there, and you're like, how did he find this place? It's really strange to just be like randomly showing up here. Well, unfortunately for him, some other people randomly show up here, a gang of people led by Jesse Metcalfe. And so Jack has to hide while they show up. And when the gang shows up, I think it's a deal. I think they're going to like buy some meth. They bring a duffel bag full of money, but they leave it in the truck for some reason. I guess they don't trust him they don't trust the meth cooker for some reason. So they go in to start talking, and Jack sees his opening. He grabs the money and runs. So now Jack has a bunch of money, but he has made some very dangerous enemies. He runs off into the wilderness. So eventually Jack runs and he runs into Sam, and you're like, this is not going to end well. It seems like Jack is fine, but as they're talking very quickly, Sam gets shot in the neck with an arrow, and you're like, oh, like that happened very quickly. Like Alec Baldwin is now out of the movie. He was in it for like 5 minutes altogether. Now Alec Baldwin is gone. Jack is able to escape, but in his rush to escape, he doesn't take any of his bag. And when the gang members come up and find Sam, all the bags are there. So Jack's ID is there. Jack's, ID information about his house and his wife are there. So now they know where he lives, they know his name, and they know his wife. Not good for him. Now, the gang and the meth cooker don't want to have like any evidence around, so they decide to burn it. So set it all on fire. And for some reason, they're right by the meth RV when this happened. I don't remember if they like dragged the body or if that's just where Jack and Sam ended up after running away from the meth RV, but they're right by the meth RV, burning bodies. I don't think that's good. I don't think you're supposed to have like lights and things like that right by the RV, but it is what it is. And when they set the body on fire, Sam like comes up. He's apparently still alive and starts like screaming, and it looks really bad. It's CG, like a CG fire on him. I mean, I understand why they didn't want to set Alec Baldwin on fire, but it doesn't look very good. He's like screaming for a bit, and he falls down. And then we also find out that in one of the bags, they're burning the evidence of the people. There was a gun, and so bullets start popping off because they're on fire now. And so boom, 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 bullets. No one gets shot, but again, another like strange bad CG moment. So Jack has escaped, but Sam paid the price, and now he is being pursued. He comes upon like I think the meth dealer and one of the thugs, and they're in their truck. They get out of their truck, and he's like sneaking around the truck. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you really should have just like run off into the wilderness and hid. Like, just hide. You've got money. Just go hide. I don't know why, but he comes to this truck and he sneaks around, and eventually he gets spotted as he's trying to like start the truck. He like tries to start it up, it doesn't start fast enough, and the two people fight him. And so it's the meth cooker and one of the thugs. They fight it out. Jack seems to be fighting pretty well. Eventually, he's able to fight them both off, gets in the truck, starts it off, and starts driving. And the thug is in front of the car after he had like gotten beaten up. He was in front of the car, and this is when you have a really obvious dummy. Like the thug is there, they show him, and then you see in the car this like clear dummy because it's not moving, it's just standing straight. That gets hit by the car, by the truck. So that happens, and then right after that, Jack just drives, like he gets so disoriented, he drives the truck into a tree. So you're like, okay, you did all this effort to get this truck, and now you just like crashed it. So after Jack comes to after this crash, Lochlyn Munro's character is there, and they start fighting also. They have a nice fist fight. Jack is eventually, though, the car that hit the tree was burning, and so it eventually blows up. That causes enough commotion for Jack to run off into the woods. But Lochlyn still has a crossbow, so I don't know how far Jack's going to get. And Lochlyn is clearly a good shot. He shot Sam through the neck, but it is what it is. So we go back to the meth camp, and some random people are loading meth into the back of a truck. And you're like, they should at least cover it. Like they're bags of meth. They're just loading it in the back of the truck. They don't even like cover it with anything. They don't even like hide it. They're just loading it in the back of the truck. So after this, they go back into the RV, and Jack again shows up. He seems to really like being by this meth camp. And so he decides that he's going to take it all out. He sets the camp on fire, and then like takes a torch. The two additional other random thugs who are just loading the meth into the truck. They're in the RV. Jack opens it, throws a torch in, and closes it. That causes the RV to blow up, presumably killing these two people randomly, and causes the entire meth camp to set on fire. Jack's okay, but at this point, he's killed like 3 people. He killed one of the thugs with the car, and then he's killed these 2 people by burning them alive. He's like getting a body count. And I wrote like, he did all this for money. Like he's still carrying around this bag of money. He's like, he did all this for money. It doesn't really make him a very sympathetic character. That's partly because we don't know what happened, but it also is like very strange. So Jack is on the run now. Now he is like trying to hide. He's sleeping, by a river. He keeps moving. But eventually the remaining thugs catch up to him. That's the meth cooker, Eli, and this girl that's in their gang also. They all jump him, they start fighting him, and they beat him up a lot, but Jack is a very good fighter. He takes the crossbow and shoots the meth cooker. He stabs the girl in the leg, and it seems like it's an artery because it's bleeding a lot. And then he and Eli fight, and eventually they like roll around, and Jack's able to stab Eli in the chest when this happens. So Jack has now killed like 7 people, I think, 6 or 7 people. He's not super sympathetic. He's just like on a murderous rampage. So now Jack heads to a lookout tower where this other officer named Jacob is, and he surprises Jacob. Jacob is out eating. Jack surprises him, beats him up, knocks him out, and I don't know, maybe kills him? Can't really tell. But going back to Eli, the gang leader who was stabbed in the chest, the cop who we have seen earlier, he like noticed a fire out in the forest. He's kind of pursuing what's going on. He comes across Eli, who was stabbed in the chest, and it seems like the cop might know him. And they have a conversation. They are antagonistic, and the cop then pulls out the knife and stabs Eli in the neck. So it seems like the cop is a bad person. It seems like he is part of this. He seems like he and Eli have worked together, and now he is taking Eli out. He also shoots that girl in the head as he's leaving. So now we see Jacob waking up. He's not dead. He's tied up in that watchtower. And we see Jack also. Jack is in there drinking, but he gets shot, I think in like the arm or the shoulder. It's random, like from sniper far away. We see the sniper. It ends up being that cop, the cop that's been pursuing them. He apparently is a really great shot. He shot Jack in this watchtower. And Jack falls down. And now we get a full picture of what happened. So Jack was a cop. He went undercover to like bust this gang. And so while this was happening, he was driving his daughter around. He made some enemies. And I guess while he was driving her around, the gang members ambushed him. And one of those gang members was Jacob, the person that was in the watchtower. So they all ambushed him. There was a shootout. Some DEA agents died. Some of the gang members died. Jacob didn't die. He escaped. But Jack's daughter was in the car and she was killed. And so that was like, this is all Jack's revenge story. Now he is here getting his revenge. Apparently, Jacob and the corrupt cop went up to the Pacific Northwest, laid low for a while, went undercover, and now they're up here living their lives. And that is why Jack is now here on a rampage, killing people nonchalantly because they were all involved in this raid that killed his daughter. He's getting his revenge. And this, again, turns him into a slightly more sympathetic, although he still kills a bunch of people and he's still carrying around this money the whole time. So after this whole cutscene, and then we also see like Eli and Ike. Ike is the cop who's been, pursuing them here. We see them meeting for like a deal. So it seems like Ike has been involved in this. He's like kind of turned a blind eye and demanded a cut from Eli for allowing these drugs to happen. So Ike is part of this. Ike is corrupt also. And so this is, I guess, the final straw in his revenge. Now, after this whole big flashback, Jack stands up in this watchtower. And you're like, why would you do that? You got shot last time. You should stay low. Like, stay low. Don't get visible. He stands up. He gets some gasoline. He pours gasoline all around the watchtower, including on Jacob and on the money that he has carried this entire time. Like, I don't understand why he's pouring gasoline on this money. He waits, and Ike eventually comes in. He eventually steps into the building, and when he steps in, Jack throws like a flare in and goes out a back door, causing the building to like go up. So Jacob goes up in fire, the money goes up in fire, Ike gets blown back, and I was like, why, Jack, why did you blow that money up? Like, you did a lot for it. You should have at least like given it to your wife, who she comes in throughout. It seems like she was very affected by the death of their daughter, and she is like not talking to Jack because he was kind of the reason for it. He should have given that money to his wife. Maybe he didn't want it because it was part of like the whole like corruption that killed his daughter, but I don't know. I think he probably should have at least used the money for some good, but who knows? It goes up. Jacob goes up. Ike is still alive, and now Ike and Jacob fight. Eventually, Jack gets Ike up against like a pile of logs, and we find out that Ike recognizes who he is. Jack is the DEA agent that cost him millions, and that Ike put a hit out on him, and that hit killed his daughter. And so after that, Jack was in witness protection until recently. And so after he got witness protection, he decided to dismantle Ike's whole operation. So now Ike is up against this pile of logs. Ike says F you, and Jack swings an axe, doesn't hit Ike, hits the strap on the logs, causing the logs to come down. Jack runs into like a little like part of the cliff, so the logs go over him. Ike is not fortunate with that. He gets crushed by the logs, and these are all like CG logs. They don't look really good. And so Ike gets killed. Jack survives, and then after, just to make sure, Jack shoots Ike in the face. So Ike's dead. The whole operation is mailed. So Jack calls his wife. His wife doesn't pick up. He leaves a message. He says, "Hi, it's me," and she can hear the message. She says that he's sorry that after that happened, he couldn't look at his wife's face. Every time, all he could see was Maddie, which is their daughter. His wife is crying, but she doesn't pick up. And then Jack says, like, "I got him. I got the guy that did this to our little girl. I got all of them. They're all gone." And he says, "I love you." The wife picks up finally and says, "Jack." And that's it. It seems like that was all she needed. The cold revenge of a father bereaved, the murder of everyone. Probably could use some of that money. He probably should have saved that money. But I don't know. I guess they're going to be fine. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of dead people. I don't know if Jack was on the right side of the law in this one. But we will see at least their relationship is mended. So that is a clear cut. Like I said, I think you should probably pass on it. I didn't like this movie as much as I expected it to. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. Let me know what I got right and wrong. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.